In the summer of 1814, as thunder rolled across the skies and enemy troops marched into the heart of the nation's capital, the White House stood tall for the last time, before fire, war, and history turned it into ashes. The night of August 24, 1814, was one of the darkest moments in early American history. The United States was in the middle of the War of 1812, fighting against the powerful British Empire. Washington, D.C., the young nation's capital, was under direct threat. Inside the White House, President James Madison and his staff were in a state of urgency. The distant rumble of cannons and musket fire grew louder as British troops advanced toward the heart of the city. The hallways of the White House echoed with hurried footsteps, papers rustled as officials tried to secure important state documents, and the tension in the air was almost unbearable. As the situation worsened, an aide rushed to the president with alarming news: the city could not be defended. American forces were too few and too scattered to stop the advancing British. Faced with the grim reality, President Madison made a difficult but decisive choice. He instructed his men to evacuate immediately, to save only the most important national treasures, the Constitution, state papers, and symbols of the young republic, and to abandon the rest. Madison knew the White House might be lost, but he believed the spirit of the nation could not be destroyed if its foundation remained intact. Meanwhile, the British Army under Major General Robert Ross pressed forward into Washington. The city was already burning. Soldiers had set fire to the Capitol building, and the night sky glowed a terrifying red. Smoke and flames rose high above the city, casting shadows that made the streets look like a battlefield of fire. When General Ross received confirmation that the White House was next, he gave the order to proceed. His tone carried no triumph, only a sense of duty. He knew the act was not one of glory, but of war, a way to humiliate and weaken the Americans. The British soldiers stormed into the White House, once a proud symbol of the new republic. They moved through the grand rooms, which only hours before had held elegance and dignity. Without hesitation, torches were set to curtains, and fine furniture was smashed apart to feed the flames. Chandeliers shattered on the ground, portraits burned, and fire spread quickly through the halls. One soldier, watching the destruction, whispered to another in disbelief at how a republic, a nation that rejected monarchy, could still have such a palace-like home for its leader. Within minutes, the building was consumed. Flames roared as if alive, and the White House collapsed into a furnace of smoke and ruin. Outside, the destruction of Washington was visible for miles. The Capitol and the White House were gone, and the heart of the young American government had been reduced to ashes. Yet, as the flames devoured the city, nature suddenly intervened. A powerful thunderstorm swept across Washington. Rain poured down in heavy sheets, hissing as it struck the burning buildings. Lightning flashed above, and winds scattered embers. Though the storm could not save the White House itself, it stopped the fires from spreading even further, sparing parts of the city from complete ruin. By the morning, the White House stood as a blackened skeleton of stone and ash. Washington, D.C. had suffered a devastating blow, and for many, it seemed like the very heart of the nation had been destroyed. But instead of breaking the will of the American people, the event sparked resilience. The burning of the White House became not only a symbol of loss, but also a rallying cry for renewal. Americans were determined to rebuild what had been destroyed. In the years that followed, work began on reconstructing the White House. By 1817, the residence of the president was rebuilt, standing proudly once again as a symbol of endurance. The building that had once fallen to flames rose from the ashes, stronger and more deeply rooted in the spirit of the nation. The burning of the White House in 1814 did not mark the end of America, it marked the resilience of a young republic that refused to be defeated. In August 1814, during the War of 1812, British forces advanced on Washington, D.C. after defeating American troops nearby. President James Madison and his staff were forced to evacuate the White House, carrying with them important state documents and treasures. That night, British soldiers entered the White House and set it ablaze, destroying its grand halls, furniture, and historic artifacts. The Capitol and other government buildings were also burned, and the capital city glowed with fire. A sudden thunderstorm eventually helped extinguish the flames, preventing even greater destruction. Though the burning of the White House was a devastating moment for the young United States, it became a powerful symbol of resilience. Within just a few years, the White House was rebuilt, standing as a lasting testament to the nation's determination to endure and rise again after tragedy.